Okay, so I'm wondering if I can be heard. I'm watching for someone else to come in and take a look and see what's going on here. I have tried connecting this a different way. Never done it this way before, so I'm not completely sure that I can be heard. I'm trying something new just about every week on the OBS studio to see if I can get everything working the way it should. Farm Dog, can you hear me? Is everything as normal? I'm hoping everything is as normal. Okay, JJ says he can hear me. Coin Junkie says, hey, Farm Dog. Audio is good? Okay, awesome. Everybody can hear me. I'm actually connected using my YouTube account rather than using a stream key and connecting using a stream key. I've been told that that's a better way of doing it. You get a better connection straight through. This coin doesn't mean anything. I was just using it to focus. So what we've got here is a reveal number. What was it? 483, 1955, plastic tube roll. This roll comes from a batch of about 25 rolls that I got one time that had all come from the same bag, and there were not only a few double dies in there, not the big double dies, but the smaller ones, but there were also a number of cracked skull dies. Is that how we want to say it? But anyhow, so I've got the tape off of it and we're ready to get going. We're going to pull this and see where we can go with it tonight. I appreciate everyone showing up. Let's go ahead and open this roll and see what do we have. A pretty decent looking roll. Alright, start with coin number 1. Coin number 1 will be for Klaus. Klaus Blem. Make sure I can see that completely so everybody can see everything completely. It looks like I've got less lag. It looks like I've only got about 5 seconds worth of lag. So that's actually a really good thing. So perhaps that will help us out when it comes time to do our auction videos. Okay, here is coin number 1 up for Klaus. And let's see. Well, this happens to be one of the examples of the poor man's doubling. You can see a little bit of extra, well, what looks like extra risen metal along the outside edge of the 5, the second 5 of the date. That is actually very common. It's die wear, but for a long time, people were collecting those as a quote-unquote lesser double die, but that's not what it is. This actually looks like it could be a little bit of a class 6 double die as well. But I'll keep looking because for right now, we need to get ourselves acclimated to looking at the 55 design for just a little bit. See if in fact this does turn out to be something out of the ordinary. Well, hold it off to the side for just a moment while we look to see what else we have going on. Good evening, Malcolm, Farm Dog. We got Coin Junkie, JJ Addict. We've got 8 people watching. Alright, let me get my second coin up under there. The second coin is going to go to Sureg tonight. Second coin for Sureg, here it is. And what do we have here? If I can ever find the coin. Where is the coin? There it is. Okay, this one's a different die. And does not appear as though I have any true hub doubling on this one. And the IB is just as thick as the last one, so it could be just a thing that occurred on the 55 Philly coins I'm just not used to looking at every day. Get myself acclimated to it and I'll be good to go. A little bit of machine doubling here on the reverse. And that's about it, just a little machine doubling. And let's move on to coin number 3. So that's coin number 1 and number 2. Done and done. Now for coin number 3. Coin number 3 is going to go to Taco John. And Taco John will get this little guy right here. Yeah, it looks to be a slightly earlier dice date than the others. Well, an interesting bit of coin there, but nothing out of the ordinary do I see so far. Let me check and see if there's a double die reverse on this. I have found double die reverse 1955 Philadelphia Lincoln cents before. I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibility of finding some this evening, so we're going to watch the reverses to see what we see. Here is Ant. Ant now with a what appears to be a normal obverse. Let's flip it over and take a look at the reverse side. A few spots on this one. But the reverse is normal too. So let's move on. Check our next coin, number 5, Stanley Zolkowski. And nothing for the obverse. Let's check the reverse here. Now, 1955 is one of those years, very hit and miss when it comes to rolls. I've been through a lot of rolls and not found anything at all. But then I've found some nice double dies in a few rolls, and, well, they pay for themselves quickly. The DDO number 2, which is the more likely one that we would find, in red uncirculated conditions such as these, coins would bring anywhere between $100 and $300, depending on its condition. The double die reverse would be a $20 to $25 item. The lesser double die obverse, which is a class 6 double die, would probably bring somewhere in the neighborhood of $20. So all the way around, we have something pretty decent to be looking for if we find anything at all, which we have not yet. And we're on coin number 7. This one goes to Farm Dog. Coin number 7 for Farm Dog. Got a nice die scratch up there. Relatively early dice date. This is a very nice dice date on this particular coin. Let's see what we have here. Wow, I haven't seen a 55 in that early dice date in quite a while. It's a very nice one. Unfortunately, no hub doubling on this one. That would be really cool if it did have some hub doubling. That's a really nice sharp coin there, as JJ Addict does say, and it does have a nice sharp reverse as well. Just no doubling. Nothing there beyond the fact that it's a nice coin. Now coin number 8. Back to Taco John again. And Taco John gets... Let's see, this is the one that looks like could possibly muster up a class 6 obverse double die. It just looks a little extra thick in places. Probably not. I get myself all wishful thinking on stuff sometimes, and it just doesn't really pan out, but I was certainly hoping that that would turn into something. Now number 9. Here's JJ Addict. What does JJ get? Well, it's a later dice date coin. It has that shadow doubling, that poor man's doubling. This is also what you get when you get that poor man's doubling as a very late dice date coin, with very soft details. Reverse is just as bad. Very soft details all the way around on this one. 'Tis a red uncirculated coin. It's just not a pretty one. Here's number 10 now. If I can ever get the flip to flip over. This one goes to Otis. Let's see what Otis gets here. Coin number 10. Looks like another later die state, one that has the shadow doubling on the outside of the 5 there. And a little struck through there on the I of Liberty. LIB of Liberty, actually. And nothing really warranting a good stare on the reverse. This is going to be Otis's coin number 10. We're going to move on now to coin number 11. Let me get the tube out of the way. Almost knocked it over twice. I think that's a message. Chuck, your desk is too messy. Okay, now coin number 11 here. Oh, there's the cap to the other. So where that cap was for the other tube there. All right, Mr. French. Mr. French is going to pick up coin number 11. Let's see what's on coin number 11 here. Well, we go right back to that nice, clean, early die state. It's actually a different die, because the other one had a die scratch above the T in trust. So this is a different die than the last one we looked at. Let's take a look at the reverse and see if there happens to be a double die on the reverse. And the answer to that question would be no. Not a double die. JJ Addict, a grade on a coin is the accumulation of the obverse and reverse together. So you grade both sides of a coin always. You don't grade by the obverse or the reverse ever. Generally, the obverse is going to account for about 60% of the grade, and the reverse will account for the other 40%. But both sides must be included in the grade on every coin. There's another one with a slightly sharper looking shadow doubling on the outside of the 5 there. Nothing else there on the reverse. On the obverse, though, I'm sorry. Let's do the reverse now. I've been thinking about the reverse, talking about the obverse. Okay, got nothing there. Yeah, if the grade on one side is affected by the die state of the coin, which most of the time it's not going to be, but sometimes it can be. And if the die state of the coin actually affects the grade, then it's going to affect the grade of the overall coin, which would be obverse and reverse. This one is actually more brown than it is red. It's kind of an unusual coin for this roll. Jump forward here to number 14. This one goes to Farm Dog. Let's see if we come up with anything on this one. Well, there's that nice poor man's doubling again. You can obviously tell by looking through the coins in this roll as I go through them. There is good reason why there is no premium value on that poor man's doubling. Sometimes coin companies will sell them as more or less a novelty doubled die, but it really isn't even that much. You can tell that when you find the poor man's doubling on these 1955 Lincoln cents, it turns up being more common than coins that don't have it. So actually finding a better earlier die state coin is a scarcity. There's another one. This one's kind of spotty. Nothing else on the obverse here. We're due for another good roll. There's Mr. Adams. All right, that was coin number 15 for Stanley. Let's take a look at 16 now. Coin 16 goes to Yo Man. And Yo Man's coin. Nothing on the obverse. What about the reverse? If I can find it. There it is. Well, nothing there either. How's everybody's weather today? We've had problems in parts of the country, especially in the deep south. There's been some issues with storms. Our weather here is just kind of cool and rainy. Look, we had a high of like 53 degrees today. And, oh, look at that clash mark. That's heavy. Is there a C over there too? Kinda. You sort of see it. Not very well, though. But man, that clash mark in the throat is heavy. No doubling on this one. 2 feet of snow, huh? Wow. Yeah, I can do without that. I don't really need snow. I'm perfectly happy without it, thank you. Ent. And that's another one of our kind of slight poor man doubling there. Nothing really on that side. 33, windy and overcast. That sounds like snow weather to me. Here's one for Crispy. I think it's like 42, 43 degrees here right now. It's not been an especially nice day out here. It was actually almost dark enough for street lights to come on at 3:30 in the afternoon here. It's we had some pretty thick clouds. Got some downpours. It's not been too bad today. It was quite rainy last night, though. Rain kind of tapered off this afternoon. We still got some drizzles around. I understand earlier in the week out in California, and then later in the week, like basically today, in the northern plains, it's been pretty nasty. Lots of snow, lots of wind, lots of cold. And nothing going on in this one. Gonna drop to 40 tonight in the panhandle of Florida. Yeah, our temperature's been cooler than normal here the last week or so. This is a very strange looking coin. I don't like the way this coin looks at all. I believe this one has been cleaned and added to the roll. It does not look original at all. So I'm going to pass this one to Malcolm and give him, oh definitely, this thing's messed up, and give him a full credit for this coin. It's number 21. It looks like it's been polished or whizzed or something. Hang on a second, let me get my paper and a pen. And this is number 483. I'm going to do 21 for Malcolm. All right. JJ Addict up next. JJ. Going to pick up this coin. I don't know what it is yet. Here we go. And it's going to be one of the later dice date coins because it shows that shadow doubling on the outside of the 5. First got ice and then a foot of snow. You guys can have all of that. Every inch of it. You asked for it by living there. Nothing on that side. Nor on that side, but it does have strange little bit of damage on the die right there where the Eye of United is. It's interesting. But that one's for Carl. Now number 24, Otis. Otis up next. Do we have any doubling? Not on the obverse, says this coin. How about the reverse, says I. And the reverse says, I'm normal too. So we move on to the next coin. How about number 25? Number 25 will belong to, let me get these things apart. I like to stick together for some reason. Or is that my fingers doing that? Surag. Surag is going to get coin number 25 after all that fight. Finally got a name. And we have a coin here. It has toned down a little orange. A lot of really nice die cracks on the head on this one. There's the start of a by error right there with a BE. And the E has a big chip on it. About to break out between the B and the E. There's a broken S of states. A big bunch of die chips all over the reverse on this one. This reverse was about to collapse. Well, you could have one of the last 50 coins struck by this die. Not that that would necessarily be a huge benefit, but it would be interesting to know it if it were, you know. Here's one for Eric. And got a bunch of die scratches here and there. Got a big clot of die crack on the head. Oh, die chip there too. Alright. And got nothing on the reverse here. Well, perhaps you don't get very many tornadoes, floods, or wildfires, but they definitely can happen. Alright, there's another 55 with the later dice date, showing that doubling in the last 5 of the date. Nothing else here, though. Take a look at the reverse real quick and let's see if there is anything on the reverse. And this particular coin is a very late dice date coin. See, they talk about this stuff when we talk about how you grade coins, and you talk about all the wheat lines must be present and bold for an extremely fine. They don't take into account when dies are all worn out like this and you don't have any lines on the die to strike up on the coin. You have to account for that when you're actually grading the coin. So instead of taking every single detail into account, instead you take the surface preservation overall into account, and you look at what's there for the entire thing. You don't pay attention to one small detail and say, oh, well, this can't be a BU coin because it's got the wheat lines are all filled in. Well, that could easily be because of a late die state strike, just like this. It's like this coin right here. You expect to see details in the hair. You don't really get any details in the hair because it's such a late die state strike. There's the reverse side on this one. Ooh, this is ugly. Oh man, this coin is flat ugly. This is a good example of what not to do when you run a mint. Alright, Paul. Paul Hampton will get credit on this one. That's coin number 28. You guys will notice that as you're getting credit on things, if you're getting any of the money chips in the proof pulls, or if you're getting refunds on any of the coins that we do in these reveals, they're coming up on your next bill as a discount. There's another one with the slight doubling at the end of the date, which by now anyone watching has seen 29 coins come out of this roll, and probably 22 or 23 of them had that. So that, folks, is why we don't charge extra money for them, because they aren't worth anything extra. Alright, now coin number 30. What are we going to do? Coin number 30, Doug Rizek. Doug, what do we got for Doug here? Relatively nice looking 1955 cent. No doubling though. On the obverse, I see nothing here. It's a mid to late die state coin, which is much earlier than some of the others that I've seen here this evening. But being a mid to late die state coin, it's actually very slightly unusual for 1955, because most of the 1955 Lincoln struck were a later die state than this. Most of them. Alright, JJ Addict now. JJ, what do we got for you, brother? Yeah, it's a nice earlier die state coin. Let's see if there happens to be anything on it we would have to talk about. Don't see anything on that side. What about the reverse? Perhaps, maybe? No. No double die on the reverse either. So that's coin number 31. Now, how about number 32? Number 32 here is going to be for Crispy. Crispy will get, looks like a pretty shiny coin. It's got some minor issues, some staining. It's got good luster, though. It's a pretty decent coin. I don't see any doubling. No doubling. I saw something like that in a... I don't remember exactly what they were talking about, but they were talking about doubling on something. And it was on a video I was watching, and the lady in the video was from Great Britain somewhere. And it's either that or maybe New Zealand or Australia, or I don't know, maybe even South Africa. I have no idea, but it was a British sounding English. And she said something like, "Oh, look there, it has Dublin on it." I thought, Dublin. I thought she meant, maybe at first I thought, maybe she's talking about Dublin, like the place in Ireland. And then I heard her say it again. "Oh, you've got the Dublin." I said, "The Dublin? Wouldn't that be something if I said it that way?" So what is it, a doubled die? Since it's got Dublin? I don't know. Sometimes I think people try to speak English harder than it takes to actually do it. But then again, everyone, I guess, considers their accent the natural way to speak the language. And of course, I sound very different from probably some other people here who think I probably try extra hard to say things oddly or differently than they do just for the sake of doing so. Why, rest assured, boys and girls, I'm doing the very best job I can just to speak English. Oh, whoa, would you look at that? Big old giant area of the obverse about to poke out of there. That's a pretty interesting looking coin. Jeffrey Schumar is a person who at one point in time was working on trying to catalog all the 1955 die breaks and chips. He'd be a person to contact if you're wanting to share any of the oddball coins that we're finding tonight that have the extra die chips and cracks and stuff. He might have a need for your assistance in his project if he's still on it. Ew, this one's ugly. That's an ugly coin right there. Yep. Yes, I tell you, that's an ugly coin. Ain't nothing pretty about that one. And the back on it is just as bad as the front. So, this one is going to be a Taco John freebie. I have no idea what this is going on here on the edge. This is going to be a Taco John freebie. Do we actually have... That is actually a double die reverse, isn't it? Would you look at that? There is a double die reverse. 1955. Double die reverse right there. What do you know? You can see it right there. You can see it pretty clearly. Right here on the E. And then you've got a double dot here. And then you've got some extra doubling up here. How don't you know that? I kind of first noticed it. I mean, I was sitting here chewing the fat about it not being that nice of a coin, and I could actually see a separation line running across this U. And then I thought, well, let me check it. Well, there's another separation line, and you have an elongated dot here. So if you keep traveling back this direction, you see that it actually gets thicker. The doubling gets thicker as you come back across this way. The Dublin. It's called Dublin on it. So there we go. Oh, yeah, you've got extra thick stems, too. The wheats are extra thick at the bottom. It's not a pretty coin, but it is a double die for Taco John. Double die reverse there. Now let's move on to the next coin. See what we can come up with. For some stupid reason, these things are just sticking together tonight, and it's just kind of ticking me off. All right, Eric comes up next with coin number 36. Let's see what we have here. Coin number 36. Made reservations today to take my lovely wife out for dinner. Next week will be our 10th wedding anniversary. We actually lasted 10 years. There is another double die. How about that? It's another double die reverse. And this appears it could be a different die. How about that? Another double die reverse. This one's for Eric. I'll never say you didn't get nothing special, brother. There we go. Yeah, so we were married on the 24th of December. We did that just because. Not for any other really great reason other than we would be able to spend our anniversary together every year. It was really the main reason why we did it on the 24th of December. But we got married on the 24th of December 2012 at Island Park in downtown Sarasota, Florida. And here we are today, nearly 10 years later. And this is just a late die state coin here. And wife's favorite food is crab. So, of course, Daddy has to find a crab place. We went to a crab restaurant about two or 3 years ago here up in Raleigh. and had a good crab dinner. So I made reservations. We're taking her back over there Friday evening next week, on Friday evening, so there won't be any broadcasts coming out of this place on Friday. And then Saturday is Christmas Eve. That's our actual anniversary, but as we have found out, many establishments actually close on Christmas Eve. So going out for a anniversary dinner on our anniversary is actually a little bit more difficult to do than we ever thought it would be. I like crab. Crab's some of my favorite stuff, too. Here's one for Stonecutter. Let's see what Stonecutter gets. Yeah, a little die crack there on the 5 of the date. Doesn't necessarily mean anything particular to me. There's a nice die crack on the head, and it's a pretty late die state coin. A few spots here and there. Let's take a look at the reverse side. Still haven't found anything yet that really tells me for sure that this coin would be a double die reverse without looking at the reverse, so we actually have to look at the reverse on all of these coins. Double dies are not common on 1955 Lincoln cents, especially on the reverse. Of course, you have the double die obverse, the big double die obverse. You're very, very unlikely to find those in rolls, but it's happened here and there. Just got the grade back on a coin that I submitted for a friend who found one in the wild. Found one in the wild, and it was in a bag, and he thought, well, it may be fake, so he showed it on Facebook, and everybody was saying, oh, that's not real, and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at it, and I was like, well, I don't know what you guys are talking about. It looks real to me. And so he sent it to me, and I sent it in to have it graded. And turns out to AU58. 1955, double die obverse number 1 in AU58. Now, one of these days, there will be a trivia question on the life and times of numismatist Chuck Daughtrey. And they will ask you, sometime in the next generation down, once I'm dead and famous, because you can't be famous when you're alive. You have to die first. But when I'm dead and famous, you know I'm joking, right? But somebody's going to ask you the question, what was the first coin Chuck ever had graded on his own dealer account? And you're going to say it was a 1955 double die Lincoln cent in AU58. That's what it was. My first, there's a roll ender right there. That one got messed up in the Batdorf machine. That's for Stanley. We'll give him this one, because it's kind of ugly-ish. So 42 for Stanley. Never know what's going to come in these rolls. But once it does, I take care of it once it gets here. Here's one for Carl. Yeah, as it would be, I have another 237 coins coming toward me from NGC at the moment that are all higher grade, mid to late wheats. Higher grade coins, meaning ones that will grade MS66 or better. Two of those rolls, though, are other coins, are toners. Found some really nice toners. Sent those in to get them graded. Yeah, and that 1909, I did not get it graded. In fact, I just mailed it back to its owner. And it's a super cool coin. It's one of the ones you rarely ever get a chance to see. This is a 55S that looks like It is a double die obverse. This is DDO number 3. Very thickety thicks, where the thickety thicks are, and the date is nice and thick too. I believe this is a DDO number 3. Class 6 double die obverse, how thick and bubulous the bottom of that R is, and how the E has the curves, the concave curves at the top. It's going to tell me that this appears that it could be a double die obverse. It is a double die reverse. This one is a double die reverse. Could we have both? Could it be a double die obverse and reverse, or is that just die wear on the obverse? It's definitely a double die reverse. That is a class 6. That's a pretty strong class 6 double die reverse there. How about that? That one goes to Crispy, so we're going to have to take a good close look at that one. All right, now we move on to coin number 45. Coin number 45 is going to go to JJ Addict. He's sitting there crossing his toes. He's like, I want one of those. I want one of those. Let's see what we get here. Well, we got nothing on the obverse on this one. Let's flip her over and see if we get a double die reverse. Perhaps, possibly, maybe. And the answer to this would be, unfortunately, no. Not a double die reverse or obverse. Now we're up to coin number 46. We have a total of 5 remaining in this roll. This one will be the first of those 5. This one goes to Yo-Man. And we'll say Mr. Gull. Mr. Yo-Man Gull. It's nothing on the obverse here. Let's check the reverse and see if it's one of our double dies. And the answer would be no on that. Not a double die. So, we'll move on. If this turns out to be a double die obverse and reverse, Crispy, it would be the first one for 1955. So, both sides would be listed as new dies if they both turn out to be double dies. There is a double die right there. That is a doubled eyelid. It's 1955, doubled eyelid. That could be a new die as well. This one goes to Paul Hampton. So there's a doubled eyelid on a 1955. This roll's turning out to actually be producing some decent stuff. Because 1955 is one where you can very commonly go through rolls and get nothing at all. I'm glad I used my instinct and opened up this one, because I've been finding some of those double dies and the coins in these 55 rolls. I think I opened like 4 or 5 rolls. I think I got like 25 or 30 rolls altogether. And I decided, you know what? This would probably make a pretty decent roll for a reveal. We can sit and talk about things on the 1955 Lincoln Cents, and we can look for some of the double dies that aren't necessarily that big hunker double die that everybody thinks that you need to be looking for. Well, of course you do need to be looking for it, but it's not the only thing to find, as we have proven here this evening. Hello, Roy. Good evening, sir. We are down to coin number 49 now. Coin number 49, next to the last coin in the roll, goes to Stonecutter. Let's take a look at the obverse and see what's happened. Yeah, we ended up with a bit of a spotty coin here. This one is not going to be pretty. If it turns out with nothing on the reverse, I'm going to give this one to Stonecutter. It's not pretty. If it turns out to be a double die, we'll get some reprieve on it. And it is not, so I will give Stonecutter a full credit on this one. What about the 5? Talk about the 5 on this coin. We talking about this part right here. That's just the late die state. Yeah, that's just late die state. That happens on probably half of all 1955 Lincolns. Yep, that's what it is. It's just die wear. It's what we call the poor man's double. It's extremely common. Alright, 49. Coin number 49 That was going to be Stonecutter. And you will find the... Oh, here's the last coin of the roll. This one goes to Eric. You will find that the credit for these will be on your next invoice. That's how I keep a captive audience, right? Keep giving them credits on their next invoice. That way they have to come in and spend something. Marketing genius. No, it's actually just the easier way of handling it. Alright, that's it. That's all I've got for this roll. Got 50 coins here. We've got 3 coins that appear to be possible Class 6 double dies. 1 on the obverse, 2 on the reverse. And the obverse is also a reverse. And then we have a doubled eyelid. And those are the only 4 coins I held out on this roll. But, of course, we will be reviewing this and going back and looking at all the coins again, both sides, just to be sure that we haven't missed anything. What else do we have here? Tomorrow, I believe it's tomorrow, I will have the 1955 S roll. Then we have a proof pull coming up this weekend. We also have this special roll. It's this 1962. It's a 1962 dime roll. It's an original roll of 1962 dimes. We'll be taking care of that roll this weekend. So, let's see, what is it, Thursday? We got an auction coming up Sunday. Should be a pretty nice auction. And, wow, we're on up into Christmas week, aren't we? Well, I appreciate it, folks. Thank you guys for coming around, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.